birth order, it's so interesting to know where we fall and how that impacts our relationships with other people. My name is Nedra Tawwab, and in this episode of A Little Bit Better, we'll be talking about birth order and how important it is for our relationships. In our families, we are the oldest, the youngest, the only, or a middle child. I happen to be the youngest. Many of my friends are the youngest, and it really got me thinking, why am I so drawn to people who have this similar birth status? And I started to do more research around it. And I have found that a person who is typically the oldest, they tend to have more of those leadership qualities because they are used to taking care of people. And a person who might be the middle child, they typically get along with everybody and they're like, okay, we'll do whatever. And the youngest, sometimes the leader, but certainly like, no, I'm used to having it my way, or I'm super used to being cared for. More than it being indicative of who a person is, it's interesting to see how they engaged based on their role in the family. In dating relationships, typically when two oldest children date, it is more headbutting because they're both used to having that leadership role. Now, there are times when the oldest and the youngest sort of get together, but those people are looking for a partnership where there is a clear leader and a clear person being cared for in a certain way. And sometimes when we're dating the person, we're like, oh my gosh, like they don't care about anything. They're just like, sometimes that's the middle child, and they're just like, I don't care. You figure it out. Like I'll do whatever. They're used to being in this space of going along to get along. And so it's so interesting in our romantic relationships how those dynamics play out in our friendships, in our work relationships, how we can see those personality traits like clearly defined, whether it's someone who's more of a leader, someone who's trying to stand out, or someone who's just like, either way, I'll do it. I don't think any relationship is doomed solely based on birth order. It can certainly be impacted, but there are so many other factors to who we are. You'll see yourself in different scenarios. If there's an age gap, if you're the first male in the family or the first female in the family, those things certainly impact it. What I found really interesting in my research on this is how parents tend to connect with a child that has a similar birth order to them, that they will start to have like this emotional tie because they understand the experience of this child. So it's really interesting to understand who we are based on how we fall in our families. In terms of communication, the more you know about a person, the better you can communicate. And so if you're dealing with someone who might be a middle child and just has more of a passive approach to things, it's important to ask them a very direct yes or no question so they can't maybe their way out of it. If you are dealing with someone who's the oldest and they'll take charge and maybe you don't want them to, it's important to advocate for yourself because their personality is to care for the people around them. And a part of that is maybe taking ownership of the situation or taking charge. If it's someone who is the youngest and you feel like, oh my gosh, this person is like gonna do their own thing, they're really trying to carve out a personality here, talk to them about how to meet your need of wanting a particular thing, but also giving them freedom in that role. With only children, it depends somewhat on their parents and their level of socialization. They can have some older child type qualities, but if they've been socialized in a circle with perhaps a lot of cousins, then that looks a little different than a person who is actually an only child. and a person who is usually able to, get most of the things that they want because their parents didn't have to disperse the energy in the house. So it's really based on how they were reared in their family. Knowing a person, like deeply knowing them, it takes the defenses around who they are and what they do. It's not your friend telling you what to do as much as it is your friend trying to be organized, and you are a part of this organization. It's not that, oh my gosh, this person has to always have their way, as much as it is, wow, this person wants to be seen as important. And it gives us the opportunity to really flip the behaviors that we're seeing and use them for information and not judgment. In the comments, if you have experienced or noticed a birth order, if you have any fun conversations around your birth order in the family, I'd love for you to share them and to connect. Say more about your personality and why you think that you're that way. And if you have a parent with a similar birth order to you, I would love to hear how that plays out. Like, have you noticed any things and how they treat you or connect with you? It's so fun to see that community around what this looks like in your life. Subscribe to the Bustle channel.